What's going on, YouTube? Today I want to discuss the recent trend we've seen in gaming where developers have moved away from user-generated content and how Hytale could be the game that shifts the industry back to where it was in the mid-2000s and even before. AAA games especially have been increasingly restrictive on the amount of freedom that players are given in terms of editing the game's content, hosting their own servers, or even making small tweaks to configs and INI files. The question I want to answer is why? Why are we being restricted in this way, and what motivation could developers possibly have to remove these features? In order to see where it all went wrong, I think we need to start with the game that actually got it right. When you look at a game like Skyrim, one of the most heavily modified AAA games to ever exist, it's easy to see the value that mods have added to that game for its players and creators alike. I think it's safe to say that without mod support, Skyrim wouldn't have retained nearly as many players as it did for such a long period of time. One dev team is only capable of producing a limited amount of content, and even if the devs of Skyrim had been working 24/7 since the game's release, there's no way that they could match the amount of content that's been developed by the community over the years. So, by allowing the community to mod the game with complete freedom, Skyrim became a game with essentially unlimited content. Players have an infinite amount of things that they could experience, and Bethesda benefits by making new sales of Skyrim that they might not otherwise have had when someone watches a YouTube video about an awesome mod and thinks to themselves, wow, I really want to play that for myself. Maybe gamers who would have never been interested in the base game of Skyrim at all would buy the game because a certain mod makes it that much more appealing to them. In this instance, we see that mod support directly benefited the game in regards to the user experience, and also Bethesda's profit margin by driving more sales of Skyrim. So if mods work so well for Skyrim, why wouldn't they work for other games? Why have we seen this trend of removing the ability for users to create their own content in more recent games like Call of Duty or Battlefield? Those franchises have both supported mods at some point in the past but have since removed that ability for their players. The developers of these games claim that mod support and custom servers are security flaws, and in order to keep cheating to a minimum, they have to keep these features locked away. But the reality is that any PC game, especially online first-person shooters, will eventually have cheaters. It's an inevitability that no game is immune from. Battlefield 5, for example, has no mod support, no custom servers, and still apparently has a huge cheating problem based on the many YouTube videos and Reddit posts I've seen complaining about the issue. So if locking away mod support doesn't prevent cheaters from infesting their game, wouldn't it make more sense to just enable those things anyways? Because clearly there will be cheaters no matter what they do, so they'd be better off having cheaters and mod support as opposed to cheaters and no mod support, right? It seems simple when you look at it that way, so clearly these developers must have some other motive for excluding mods, and it's pretty obvious what that motive is when you look at something that these two franchises have in common: microtransactions. COD and Battlefield both are in the business of selling cosmetic microtransactions to their players. Things like weapon skins, custom armor and clothing, and various other cosmetic upgrades are all available in these games and are actually responsible for a large portion of their profits. In 2017, Activision Blizzard, the company behind games like Call of Duty and Destiny, made over $4 billion on microtransactions alone. So why the fuck would the developers of COD enable mod support when those mods would be in direct competition with their own microtransactions? Simple answer, they won't. And they likely never will if there isn't some significant shift in the gaming industry that pushes them towards making a change like that. This is just one of the many ways that AAA games will sacrifice player satisfaction in the name of profit, which I could really make an entire video on, but the point is, the way the industry sits right now, there is no motivation for devs to allow mod support because it would literally reduce the amount of money they make. It would take something huge for devs and publishers to change their ways. Now, I'm going to bring up something that's going to make a lot of people cringe, but I have to talk about it because it's so relevant to this conversation. Fortnite. Yes, Fortnite. The biggest and most unique trend in gaming to surface within the past year. Say what you want about Fortnite and its player base, but you'd be a fool to ignore the impact that this game has had on the industry as a whole. A relatively unknown game, widely regarded as being trash, releases a free-to-play battle royale mode as a Hail Mary to potentially save itself from death. Fast forward 6 months and it has over 40 million players and has made Epic Games $223 million on microtransactions alone. This is the kind of success that makes everyone in the gaming industry stop and pay attention. No matter who you are, Activision, EA, Bluehole, Tencent, Valve, all of these companies that seem so monumentally huge, so big that nothing can knock them off the top, were all sitting quietly and taking notes as Fortnite dominated the entire gaming industry, making more money than any of these companies' previous titles without that initial $60 price tag. And now, when you look at the most recent COD, guess what? They've adopted nearly every aspect of the Fortnite business model, the now famous Battle Pass system, the Battle Royale game mode, multiplayer only. But of course, Activision had to put their own spin on the business model by keeping that initial $60 price tag. Greedy fucks. Fortnite's success was too big for these companies to ignore, and I think Hytale could be the next game that makes everyone stop and pay attention. I think if they truly accomplish everything that they're attempting with Hytale, this could be one of the most influential games to ever release. The description that Hypixel Studios gives for the game on their website reads like this: Hytale combines the scope of a sandbox with the depth of a role-playing game, immersing players in a procedurally generated world where teetering towers and deep dungeons promise rich rewards. Designed with creative players in mind, Hytale's engine supports everything from block-by-block castle construction to scripting and customization delivered using easy-to-use and powerful tools. I think an easy way to summarize that in a few words is depth, freedom, and creativity. When is the last time that any AAA game had these three concepts as their core pillars of game design? I struggle to think of an example, and if you can, please leave it in the comments. But the point is, if Hytale is able to deliver on these aspects of their game, it will be a huge success. And just as we saw with Fortnite, a big enough success will make everyone in the gaming industry stop and take notes. Imagine if EA and Activision take notes from Hytale. It's not paid microtransactions that sell, it's letting the players create their own cosmetics. It's allowing players to host their own servers, make their own rules. Freedom is what sells. I understand that it's a bit optimistic to envision Activision and EA dropping their current business model to copy Hytale, but if you would have told me that Battlefield would drop DLC for free, or COD would implement a new mode that has 100 players at once, I would have been skeptical as well. Change in the gaming industry can happen, and Fortnite proved that to the world. Hytale could be the next in line to change everything, only time will tell. I guarantee that if they are successful, if they do cause change, the gaming industry will be a better place because of it. Thanks for watching, and please leave a like if you enjoyed. This is Battlefane.